Yo, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. I'm glad to be here. I'm just pimping my stuff out early. I'm the owner proprietor of BS Busters. We have our podcast every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
This is
Glad to be
Kanoshi.
on another one of these casts.
Glad to have you. And this is Kanoshi Abominito here on here hosting another Project Console, episode 33. We want what we paid for. So, without further ado, let's get on to the first topic of the show. So, first topic, uh, introduction, what we have been playing. Let's see. I'm still mainly playing fighting games. Jumping between Dragon Ball Fighter Z and Guilty Gear Strive, as well as I started this new game. Iden, Iden Chronicles. Wasn't completely sure how to pronounce it, but it's made by the creator who made the Suikoden games, or at least the first few Suikoden games.
Yep,
They're coming out
first
with
three.
yeah, and then they're coming out with the main game next year, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, if it doesn't get pushed back. I know a lot of these Japanese developers like to delay their games, but yeah, that's what I've been playing. I also got the League of Legends standalone RPG. Uh,
Yeah, that game feels like a sequel to Battle Chasers Night War.
yeah, which Battle Chasers is a pretty good game.
Yeah, it's a shame that game didn't sell well enough for it to get a direct sequel.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I've seen trailers for it. It looks pretty good. So what have you been
Well,
playing?
I've been playing Eiyuden Chronicles as well. I'm really like that game is supposed to be Eiyuden Chronicle Rising is supposed to be kind of like how that blood how that game that when the first that Koji Igarashi game that he like the game made by Inti Creates that was like a prequel to that game. Well, Aiden Chronicles is the prequel to the Suikoden spiritual successor game that the original team or like the core original team who made Suikoden are basically making. And I mean, both games have gorgeous like the actual like environment of the game is kind of basic. It's like you
Yeah,
can tell that the budget was kind of low for that, but the character models just have so much character. Like you can tell so much about these characters just by looking at them. Like the way they're drawn, how they're illustrated. It's like this is amazing. The character art is amazing. And seeing what they can do on a small budget, like this was just basically like a prequel game that they did because they blew through their Kickstarter. Imagine what they're going to be able to do with the main game.
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that because it's been a while since I've played a Suikoden, and I mean Konami has done jack and squat with the IP, so might as well get something out of it.
That's
Um,
yeah, that's true. It's sad that I know for many people it's sad that Konami is in the state that it's in right now. And I mean, again, like I said on BS Busters, the only thing that they got going for them are re-releases of their older stuff.
yeah, and every time I'm just like, man, I'm done with Konami. They'll re-release something I really want. Like, okay, we're gonna re-release the TMNT collection, like all the games you love. I'm like, you got me, you bastards.
Yeah, and
You got me.
this Iden game, um, yeah, Iden Chronicles. It looks like the 2D uh, RPG engine that Square Enix is using, but it looks a little better. So,
Yeah. Well, what they're doing for this game is like you're on a 3D plane, but the
yeah,
characters are 2D models.
yeah,
So the artwork for the 2D characters looks great. So kind of like what Disgaea was doing for years. Because basically, if you use a 3D, like the hardest part about making a game is doing the backgrounds and the
yeah,
setting. So if you can just make that easy by having shitty backgrounds, which most of these games have, like play like 2D JRPGs that had the 3D backgrounds. The 3D background is trash for most of these games. It's basic. Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know what they're doing with the 2D art style with the Square Enix. They're trying to make it look like an HD Super Nintendo game,
mhm.
which I mean definitely looks, at least to me, looks pretty decent. But I guess it could stand to look a little better.
I mean, I think they're both equally good. I like the HD 2D, like
Yeah,
the HD 2D engine that they used in Octopath Traveler, and like they're using in some of their other games, can make backgrounds look good.
yeah,
Because the backgrounds, like they're remaking Dragon Quest 3. The background of that game initially was 2D tiles.
yeah,
So 3D making giving applying a 3D effect to that makes it look great.
yeah,
Um, but like what Iodine Chronicles is doing is that for like Iodine Chronicles Rising is that they're using a 2D engine, like a 3D engine on a 2D plane for the background, which makes a lot of the areas look generic. It's like, oh, I'm in a forest. Oh, I'm in a mine.
yeah,
Oh, I'm in the snowy peak. Like it's very generic, but the character models are so good that it's like, oh, well, I can forgive this other stuff. There's a lot of reused assets. Like, hey, this is the same enemy as before, but they're
uh,
wearing slightly different color armor, or their fur is it was black on white, now it's white on black. It's like like they use a lot of tricks, but I mean, like all the individual parts are like, except for the character art, the main character art styles are kind of like underwhelming. But once you add all that together, it's really good,
yeah,
and I like it.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty decent. Um,
So, yeah, that's all I can say. I think it's really good.
anything else you've been playing, or has that been pretty much it?
Um, I've been playing a lot of Griftlands, which is from Clay. Um, the developer Clay, the same developers who did like Stealth Bastard and Tank, stuff like that. And I've been playing a lot of Fallen Earth Classic, which is this. It basically plays like a Fallout MMO, but done well, or as best as you can, or as best as you can. And Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. So I mean, not a huge amount of stuff because I've been busy. But when I
Yeah,
do have some extra time, I'll play that.
yeah. Well, we'll get into our first topic. So, the Xbox console outsold the PlayStation in Japan for like a week. Um, it's been on an upward. It's been the Xbox Series consoles have been on an upward trend since since its release. It's getting closer and closer to the Xbox One's lifetime sales. So
But to be fair, those were dismal in Japan, so that's not really a milestone for like, oh, they're doing so well. It's like
no,
the last generation was so bad that like,
their overall lifetime sales, not just
yeah,
Japan, but their overall. But yeah, I mean, yeah, their sales were pretty dismal in Japan, but
yeah.
the fact that they were able to outsell the PlayStation 5 for about a week. Also, you can't find a PS5
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. You can't find a PS5, and also Sony basically gave up on Japan. Like, very few Japanese developers and development studios are really given the nod by Sony in Japan. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like, really, like Japan right now is Nintendo Switch land and
Uh,
PC and the Xbox.
And the thing is, the PS5 just doesn't really look all that attractive. It's a lot bigger. The Xbox, both the Xbox Series consoles are relatively small. The Xbox Series X is a bit taller and a bit wider, but it still fits in a particularly small space. Um,
Yeah,
as well as
I think that's a
the
part of it, and
S.
also just you can get an Xbox, you can get a Switch. It's hard to get a PlayStation.
And obviously, I think Elden Ring helped move that console because, again, you could find an Xbox. It's a lot easier to find an Xbox than a PlayStation. Elden Ring is
Hmm.
on everything except the Switch. And
Yep.
people really wanted to play that game. They're like, oh, screw it, I'll just get an Xbox.
Yep.
So, yeah,
But no, I'm not going to say doom and gloom for PlayStation in Japan or anything like that. Not that Sony gives a shit about Japan, to be fair, because they don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't act the way they do about Japanese IPs and genres.
yeah. I don't know what the heck's going on with Japan, or not Japan, but Sony with their with giving up on Japan. Because I know
Or their
that.
CEO is a Westerner, and he clearly doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know why they. I don't know why they did that. I don't know
he
why they
doesn't
just.
have the connection to Japan like a CEO who's from Japan would have to Japan. So, I mean, he has no incentive to want to prop that up. Plus, people forget Sony. Like, okay, Sony has about $20 billion that they can use for acquisitions. All right, compared to Microsoft, which is spending like 67 billion to buy Activision Blizzard. Think about that. Okay, Nintendo has about 10 billion in cash that they can use to buy studios. Okay, Sony, which for almost every single generation has outsold everybody in terms of their console, only has $20 billion in cash that they can use to buy shit. Think about that. Their competitor, their direct competitor, which is Nintendo, has 10 billion. Think about that. That's embarrassing.
I mean, the thing, the thing about it is like they've ever since the PS3 they've been slipping away from Japan.
Hmm.
PS4 near the end, going into the PS5, they just are like, we're just focusing on Western studios.
Basically, yeah.
And
I mean,
it's
but I mean, no. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
oh, and it's just and I don't know why. I don't know if their numbers just started looking a little bit better over here than they did in Japan, and that's why they're like, let's just focus on Western studios because this is where the real money's at, or what's going on.
Yeah, personally, I do think that
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, personally, I think what's really going on is that they probably looked at their numbers and they said, "Look, we aren't making all that much money in Japan, so let it go."
yeah,
That's what I think. They were just like, "We're done,"
it's definitely a possibility. Uh, I wouldn't put it past them,
you know.
but
And I know some people are going to get mad. They're going to be like, "How could you say that?" I'm like, Sony at the end of the day is a business, all right, and they're going to go where they're not going to spend more money than they have to run their business.
yeah,
Whether or not as someone who, like, I can appreciate that they have to run a business and they don't want to lose a ton of money.
Right.
But on the other, like, looking at it as, someone as an adult who tries to have money and spend money and make money, I understand that. But as a gamer, I'm like, man, I remember when Sony used to prop up JRPGs. Like, you're lucky if you get 4 or 5 big JRPGs over the last 3 console gens from Sony,
Yeah.
starting with the PS3. Like the PS3, we maybe got like 4 big JRPGs during the PS3 era. The PS4, like maybe 5. And right now we haven't got one on the the PS5.
Yeah.
And I know people say Elden Ring. Elden Ring is more like a Souls-like game. It's not really a RPG in the traditional sense when I say big RPG. Like Persona 5 is a big RPG.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 is a big RPG.
It's just kind of baffling that they won't move that game to anybody anywhere else. The Persona 5.
They
I guess
probably signed. They probably signed an agreement. But the only way that game can come to something else is it's probably gonna have to be a remaster or something.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just weird that they have that that Sony's holding that game down pretty tight. I don't probably because it's one of the few Japanese games that really moves systems. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was one game I heard people talk about a lot when it came out, it was Persona 5. I mean, I hear more people talk about Persona 5 than the Megaton games that have
The
recently come out.
Shin Megami Tensei games are more niche. Like
Yeah,
Persona games are more mainstream. The Shin Megami Tensei games are more niche.
yeah. I'm not saying they're bad games or anything. I'm just saying the way people talk about it, I could see if you don't know anything about Shin Megami. Uh, if you don't know anything about the Shin Megami franchise, you'd think that Persona is the mainline game series.
In numbers, it probably is, but all of it sprung forth, if you, as you say, from um, Shin Megami Tensei.
Because how many?
So
Because I know a lot of people jumped on Persona uh, during Persona 4. Like how many people that have that are playing or that have played the Persona games, at least 4 and 5, 3, 4, and 5, um, haven't even heard of Shin Megami.
well, they might have heard of it, but they probably haven't played it. Here's what I'm going to say. I would not recommend people who have only played Persona games to go and just immediately jump into a Shin Megami Tensei game, because Persona games, like for a lot of people, Persona games are hard. Shin Megami Tensei will prove to you that Persona, compared to the parent series, which is Shin Megami Tensei, Persona's easy compared to Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard the Shin Megami games are no joke.
No, no, they're tough. People die horrifically. Um, the player-based choices are like the material is very dark. The gameplay is hard. Like most RPGs, if you grind, you will eventually be able to overcome everything if you grind.
Yeah,
Not so in a Shin Megami Tensei game. Even if you have a maxed out, if you're high level, even if you're like 5 to 6 levels above the enemies you're fighting, you can run against a surprise enemy that will just curb stomp you.
yeah,
And there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, oh, I just got my ass kicked.
yeah.
That's basically.
Because you probably don't have the right demon type to defeat that enemy. So it's not just about
Yeah.
leveling up.
Well, not just that, but even if you have the right demon type, you haven't leveled it up properly, or it doesn't have the right inherent skill, you still might get your ass handed to you. So it's Shin Megami Tensei is a game where understanding the logistics and the stats of your party is just as important as leveling up and having the right equipment. Whereas Persona is more of a traditional JRPG. If I level up enough, I can overcome almost anything. And me leveling up my Persona is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything against any of this. I like it all. But um, in regards to back to Sony, yeah, Sony basically gave up on Japan. Um, so
I don't know if there's some drama there too that obviously we don't know about. If it's not just, I'm sure a big part of it's money, but I wonder if there is drama between the east and the western aspects of Sony.
I
You
mean,
know.
it could be. I mean, look, monetarily speaking, they've made a lot of money off of their Western games. Like, I'm pretty sure that for Sony, um, their single player games where they don't have to spend a lot of money to support them over years and they aren't live service, those have made more money than, um, compared to how much they've invested to make the game versus how much they got back than games than, Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Not to say I really give a shit about Gran Turismo because I don't. I think most of Sony's first party games are kind of underwhelming to me, but that's my own personal opinion. That's my, everyone's gonna have their, everyone has their own opinions. Are like a holes. Everyone has one.
So, you got anything else to say before we move on to the second topic?
Uh, no. Just I'm not surprised by the Xbox being outsold. The Xbox outselling the PlayStation in Japan because you can't find a PlayStation 5 in Japan.
No.
Like, as
No.
soon as they come on the market, they're snapped up. So if you have something that's available for people to buy that can play mostly the same shit as something that you can't get, which one is going to sell more? It's
Yeah.
like if I like to drink rum and cokes and or Pepsi and Coke and Coca-Cola is the only thing available, they're basically the same price. I'm going to go with what is available.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it.
All right. So apparently they're making a follow up to Death Stranding. Who was asking for this? I don't know. I know people were. The funny thing about Death Stranding is that people were kind of hyping it up. You know, having all these ideas in their head, thinking that it was one thing, and it just turned out that the game was just Kojima's take on the Postman. And then people just tried to justify why they purchased this game. You know, people people were
They had to rationalize
yeah,
buying the
that's the
game.
word. Yeah,
They had to
that's the word I was looking
rationalize
for.
buying it. You know,
Yeah,
like I spent a lot of money on this, so I have to talk myself into telling you how good it is. Talk myself into telling people how good it is, even though, like, if you're playing a game and like it's not fun, and I'm not saying that every aspect of a game is fun. Every game is going to have dull moments where it's like a slog. But if overall you're playing a game and it's not fun, then you know what? It's not fun. It's not a good game.
like I know like this is gonna sound weird, but I remember this game that came out. It was a few years ago. It's called Papers, Please. I kind of get the appeal of that game. In that game, You're just stamping people's post notes who are trying to come into a country. But there was an aspect of it that did seem kind of interesting because there were stories behind each character. Some characters, were trying to get in to see relatives, or some characters were just looking for another place to live. And then you got, if you let if you let a character pass the border, um, you might be in the newspaper the next day. They ended up murdering somebody, or just stuff like that. And then you have this game, which is I don't know what the heck's going on. I guess there's some kind of story. I just remember to the lead up and even to some of the reviews I saw at the time. I was just kind of like, yeah, this game still doesn't really make a ton of sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a Kojima game, which as we all know, Kojima games are just like Hideo Kojima makes games that you're either gonna love or you're gonna hate.
Just props for trying to do something different, but I don't know. It. But what I've heard, I heard that the game has a self-contained ending, so that it's kind of baffling that they're creating a sequel for it. But I guess
It's old enough, and Kojima needs the money, so they're gonna make a sequel.
yeah,
I mean, kind of like how The Matrix had the perfect ending, but they found out that they had a lot of money. They were you know
they found out that they made a lot of money off of the franchise, so they're like, well, we can
we
just
got
make
to make a
another.
sequel. Yeah, even though like really like okay, if they wanted to make a sequel to The Matrix, they should have made The Matrix into an anthology series.
Yeah,
Where like okay, so the first Matrix would have been the story of Neo. So then the second Matrix could have been a story from someone else in the system who isn't the chosen one, who joins the resistance, but seeing a world where Neo exists and seeing how Neo is breaking the system and realizing, oh wait, I'm in a fucking simulation. That would have been interesting. Like, because you could have had a sequel if you have told it in the form of an anthology series where each movie was someone else's story.
yeah,
But they just kept on. Well, we got Keanu Reeves. We got to keep it moving. I'm like, okay, whatever.
yeah, yeah. It's
Like, you
weird.
know how the Marvel movies, you know, even though they're connected, like each one is also telling its own story.
Yeah,
So they're like an anthology. You don't like, yeah, it helps if you see other shit, but you really don't have to.
yeah,
That's what they should have done with the Matrix, but they didn't. So and that's why we can't get it. There's been 3 films since that first one, and all of them have been lesser than the first.
yeah,
Every single last one of them.
yeah, yeah. That's that's definitely true. Um, yeah, I just people are hoping that he's able to make a Silent Hill game. That Silent Hills game that they've that PT demo that people were playing for the longest time, or for not the longest time, but the that revealed the new Silent Hill game. So people are kind of
Yeah, I'm not a huge Hideo Kojima fan. Like I think he needs to stick with his weird fucking Metal Gear and Zona Ender shit. Cause I mean, he worked with Mercury Steam to bring back, Castlevania, and those games sucked. So like I don't I'm not one of those people who worships at the altar that everything Hideo Kojima touches is great. I think his best work was early on in his career. He peaked too early, and everything else has just been hubris on top of him smelling his own bullshit and thinking that it smells good. Like you know,
yeah, yeah,
like I like there's some developers who I'm like, okay, they deserve their accolades. Like if you're Sid Meier, even though Will Wright has turned out to be kind of a piece of shit, and so has uh, Lord British. They're going into that NFT blockchain shit. But they still, you can look at their body of work and say, these people have made games that have really changed the industry. But Hideo Kojima's best shit was made early on in his career. And after that, like, the most innovative game he made after Metal Gear Solid 2 was nothing.
yeah,
Like, the graphics got better, The games got bigger, but nothing really innovative happened in those games. Like nothing nothing earth shaking or ground, you know, like genre defining happened. So you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, people eat it up too. There's a lot of people that just eat up Kojima's nonsense, and they call him a genius, and they're like, "Well, he's the best, one of the best. He's on the same level as Miyamoto or
yeah, but even
Sakaguchi." Or
Miyamoto has fucked up. You know, like I mean, I like Miyamoto, but Miyamoto made Wii Music.
yeah, oh yeah,
You know, so everyone, like every developer has issues where they fuck up. Like no developer is on it. Like there's no developer who everything they've touched has been great. That is a misnomer. That is and it's a falsehood to claim that. However, um with all that being said, um like I mean, I'm not saying that Hideo Kojima hasn't made games that I enjoy. He has. For example, like I said, I've said in other casts, I love Police Nuts, I love Snatcher. I think the first two Metal Gear games on the MSX are fucking brilliant. Um cuz they really did kind of bring stealth game. Like there were other games that had stealth aspects, but like the original Metal Gear games, not Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear, those games really did add like basically help create like really solidify the foundations of a whole new genre. And I'm not going to take that away from him, but I think after that it's just been just him smelling his own farts for the
yeah.
last 20 years. But that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah. Next topic is Korean 64 has a game breaking bug. Apparently, this bug involves an underwater fight, which and you end up in a like a hit stun, or you're frozen in a hit stun, and the game just locks up, so you have to restart it. Um, what's going on with Nintendo's emulation? Because it isn't the first time we've
Bullshit.
yeah
It's bullshit.
we haven't this isn't the first time we've heard about various different bugs, or even features taken out, like with Mario Kart. It's really bizarre because their action used to be pretty top notch back in the Wii and Wii U era.
And the 3DS. I don't
3DS.
know. I don't know how they could take a step backwards, and I don't know how they can charge someone $50 for a really faulty emulation suite. But it's Nintendo. Look, as long as they're dumbasses who will pay for that, who will pay $50 for it, they'll continue to do it. So I don't know. I don't pay for the Nintendo Online service. I don't have the basic nor the expansion pack, so I don't. You know, I said I'm.
Well, the thing is, um, like people will be like, well, they're pretty quick about fixing these issues. It's just kind of like, well, they should have got it right the first time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I will say something. Okay, if you were buying these games a la carte for like $4.99, like you did during the Wii era or the Wii U, I would say, hey, hmm, I could understand if someone didn't. Because when you're a tester, you don't play games like someone who plays a game casually or for fun. Okay, so I can understand if they're like, we didn't catch that, but this is something you're charging people $50 a pop for.
Yeah.
or 70 some odd dollars if it's like the family plan. So if you can't even do that, then I don't know what to say to you except what the fuck are you doing with people's money? Are you
Exactly.
just pocketing that money and just pretending like you're doing something?
Yeah.
They're just dicking around, basically, is what you're saying.
Yep. That's essentially what they're doing.
So people got mad at me when I said this online looks like shit and I'm not paying for it. Oh, how dare you? You're just being no. Look, I will pay for online services that I feel like are worth it. All right? And I know it's different. Like I pay and I know people are going to say, "Well, you pay 14.99 for HBO Max." But HBO Max gives me a lot of shit. I pay 170 $180 for Amazon Prime a year because Amazon Prime gives me access to a ton of content. I am not getting that type of money from my back. I'm not getting that type of money from I'm not like what you're paying for Nintendo's online is not commensurate with what you're paying for. Because at $50 for the N64 and Genesis games, that's just $10 removed from the $60 you pay for uh, Xbox Game for Gold. So you know, I'm not paying for it. I'll tell you that much. Not surprised that Kirby runs like ass. I'm not surprised there are bugs with the N64 emulation because Nintendo doesn't care. They aren't putting their money towards infrastructure or making it a better experience for people who are playing it. And even the CEO said, "Yeah." The president was like, "Yeah, this is we need to make our online better, but it's not getting better."
I mean, what do you think happened? Obviously, Iwata died. Um, Things started to kind of start to go lopsided. Like, is it?
No, they were surprised by how successful the Switch is, and they can't like they're a small company and they can't keep up with they can't keep up with they can't keep up with the infrastructural work they have to do, and they don't want to put a lot of money into it because what if the next product isn't as successful? Right?
That's the
They
problem.
want something that can scale up easy so that they don't have to spend as much money or scale down so that they don't have to put a lot of money into it. Because if the next product isn't as successful and they put all this money into infrastructure, they're losing money on top of money on top of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like at some point you got to be able to take
You got to take risks.
you
Yeah.
got to take those risks. You can't be a penny pincher forever.
I mean, personally, and I know what it is. See, they want to create that recurrent they want to create that recurrent user transaction, every year $50, every year $20. And I understand that. But, I would rather just be offered a like an a la carte where they had before where you just hey $5 $6 $10 and you can download it and you can play it any way you want to. I'd rather do that than pay for their shitty online because I'm not like I don't even play my Switch online.
Yeah,
So I only keep it online so I can download digital games.
yeah,
And if they start putting that behind online pass, then I'm not gonna download games digitally either.
yeah,
So I'm like Nintendo's my favorite company, but like it would be unfair for me not for me to call Sony and Microsoft out on their bullshit and just ignore what Nintendo does just because I like Nintendo.
yeah.
That would be hypocritical of me.
That's the problem. There are people that we know, several people that just won't do that for whatever reason. They just are like, it's like when Nintendo said they were charging for online, there are people rushing to defend it. And yet you were the same people that were screeching about Sony and Microsoft doing it.
Yeah. Like
Well, at least it's
I
cheap.
can't. Yeah, it is. Like here's what I'll say: Nintendo's online, their base online is cheaper, but and you're not getting a lot of services. And if for $20 a year, I can't really get angry at that. But once you start approaching 50, 60, your price is close to parity with your competitors, and you still aren't providing services that are close to that level. And if anyone has the backwards library of IPs that would make them dynamite to have an online library of games, it's Nintendo, and they just won't do it. It's just bullshit on top of bullshit. But I'm gonna get off of it because I know I don't want people to get. If I keep on going, I'll just get angry, and I don't want to get angry, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Oh, the thing is, it's just my point is not necessarily that it's cheaper. You guys are they were mad that that Microsoft and Sony were charging were charging for online. Period. You know they were upset that they were charging people to play for online. Period. But then you come off and say, well, at least it's cheaper. But you were mad that they were even charging at all. You probably would have been, even if Sony and Microsoft was charging $20 to play online, you probably would have still been upset. Versus, even the $50 to $60 they've been asking for the past, I don't
Yeah,
know, 15 years almost.
yeah. Well, I mean, my issue with Xbox was that they gated stuff that you already paid for. Like if you were paying for Netflix, Microsoft gated that behind their Xbox Live, which is stupid. Because if you have an online capable device, your internet is paying for you to stream that. Like your own internet service provider is paying for the streaming. The only thing that's being handled by that box is that the signal is going through your console, and that's it. But that's not them. That has nothing to do with Microsoft. So that was just weird. That was just Microsoft being fucking greedy, and tricking people into signing up for their shitty uh games for gold and all that shit. Um, I think in the terms of Sony, it's even more egregious because, like I said, Sony's like at least with Microsoft, you get some stability most of the time with their online. Sony is the opposite end, where it seems like every 4 or 5 months, Sony's is having an outage. You know, like clockwork. Oh, Sony's Sting is out. Oh well, guess I won't be playing games today on my PSN that aren't that have an online check-in.
While we're still beating up on Nintendo, Nintendo won't give you your purchase games. So the Wii, the DS, 3DS, they shut down the shop, I think, a few months ago. And they're essentially saying that, but they said that you'll still be able to download your purchase games if they're still going to be on the server and you're still going to have access to them. And then, people weren't able to download their games and they tried to reach out to Nintendo. Nintendo uh, gave a half-hearted answer. Oh, let's update you on when you're going to be able to do this. A couple months go by and still no word. And Nintendo's like, we have no further information for you right now.
Not
And
surprised.
here's the problem with here's the problem with digital distribution. This is the exact problem we've been talking about on numerous different podcasts for the past several years. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is the problem you're going to run into with digital distribution. That cartridge you bought at the flea market uh, of Super Mario World or of Donkey Kong Country or of Super Metroid. That you'll be able to keep that. Nintendo isn't gonna come into your house and take the cartridge away and be like, "No, we're gonna take this cartridge. Oh, we're not gonna pay you back for it." I mean, that's essentially what they're doing. They're taking all the stuff that you purchased, and there are people that spent hundreds of dollars on those systems, and they're saying, "Oh, you can't have them back. Can't have them back." You know,
Here's what
it's
I'm
like,
about to say. I don't think this is a digital distribution thing. I think this is a Nintendo issue
I think so.
because there are cases where there are cases in other digital storefronts where once you buy something, you have access to it for a very long time, for as
Mm,
long as you want it.
yeah,
And I think this is a Nintendo issue, not a um, digital. I don't think this is an issue with digital distribution. I think this is a Nintendo issue. It's their problem. Because think about like if you buy a game on Steam or GOG and it's linked to your account, you can go and download that game again,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, and Steam and GOG, Steam, let's say Steam. Steam has been on the digital market for a long ass time, all right? So, if I can do that on Steam, what is preventing other companies from implementing that?
yeah, exactly.
So that's like basically this is a Nintendo issue. This isn't a the like this is like saying, "Hey, I have a car and someone hit my car and the airbag deployed." So that means that the problem is cars. No, the problem is that driver was an asshole who
Yeah, I
hit
mean
you.
that's a fair point because again it's what 2022 and they still haven't nailed down a decent infrastructure for their online for
No,
people
no.
to for people to for people to be able to re-download their games off of their older systems where at least Sony they said they were going to shut everything down, but after everybody got angry and was upset about it, it's like, oh, we'll keep it up. For how long, who knows? But
Like we don't want to lose money. I
yeah,
understand that they don't want to. I understand these companies don't want to lose money and it's a lost thing, but like even if you have to slow down the download, let people have access to these games, or at least put them on a new server. I don't care. Let people have access to download these games and play them. You know?
if it's a slower server, it's a slower server, but at least people get to have uh, access. Like you said, at least people will be able to download the games that they purchased.
Yeah. And look, I'll keep it 100%. I know people are gonna say, well, most of the games I've been playing are older games, right? I routinely go back to Skyrim. I routinely go back to Darkstalkers 2 Definitive Edition. I'm constantly going back to old ass games, okay, games that came out years ago. And I feel good about that. Like I like that I can go and play old ass games. And no, I don't always have the physical version of these old ass games. Okay? I'm sorry. All right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't okay. Um for my PC, like a lot of my PC games are digital. I don't feel bad about that cuz look, first of all, if you're trying to find a physical copy of a lot of these old ass games, they don't have them anymore. Can't even play physical copies of my games because I don't have a CD player in my gaming PC. So I have to go digital any goddamn way. So get over that. And I know console players will be like, well, that's why I keep my cartridges. I'm a console player too. I have tons of physical games, and you know what I did to like 95% of my physical copy library, especially my cartridges, my fifth gen and fourth gen and third gen games. I digitized them and put them on uh, SD cards, so I can put them into my flash, my EverDrives, so that I can play them digitally. Okay, because I'll tell you right now, I do not want to carry around why should I carry around 50 cartridges when I can basically put 50 of my favorite SNES games on an SD card or more and just carry one cartridge to put into my physical media. Stop with the console with the physical media elitism because that's what it is. You
Yeah.
know, that's all it fucking is. Is it's just physical media elitism. It's people going around saying, "Well, I've got physical media." It's like, look, listen. The difference between you having $500 cash and me having $500 in my bank account is nothing. Okay? The difference is that if someone steals your wallet, you lost your shit. Okay, your money is gone. Okay, you ain't getting it back. Okay?
Yeah.
My $500, I can call my bank and get my card canceled and they can't steal my shit. Okay? All right? That's the fucking difference. Now stop.
Yeah.
Um, but that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we thought, at least a few years ago, Nintendo was going to get their act together and create an online infrastructure, but just still seems to not really have happened for whatever reason.
Well, in
Um,
some ways, it is better. I'm not going to say they haven't gotten better, but in other ways, it's a step backwards. You know,
yeah,
like Nintendo with their online is like two steps forward, one step back.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're yeah, at least their online games, like for Splatoon, at least for Smash. This is for me. You might have sorry, you might have experienced something different, but uh, it has gotten a lot stable. Their online games have gotten a lot more stable than they were they were during the Wii or even the Wii U era. So, but the problem is they've taken away a lot of decent features from, uh, more specifically the Wii U, pertaining to their online infrastructure, like their chat service. I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked Miiverse. I think Miiverse was amazing. I wish Nintendo had would have kept up with it, but I know that basically with essentially the failure of the Wii U, they were like, we want to wash our hands of that and just move on to something different. And I understand that. So
They could probably come up with something that's pretty much Miiverse, but with a different name. I don't know
no, they
what that
just
is.
they just wanted to wipe their hands of it. I mean, business wise, I can understand because the Wii U was like their second biggest failure in the video game industry of all time.
Yeah,
Even though that's like one of my that was my favorite eighth gen console was the Wii U.
yeah.
Like I still think the Wii U is a better console than the Switch, and I stand by that statement.
In
Um,
some way, at least to me, in some ways, it was.
I mean, yeah, the Switch is portable, but the Wii U had a better web browser. Uh, you could use Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime,
Well, the
watch
Switch
that through
doesn't.
that.
The Switch doesn't even have a web browser.
No, it does not. I mean, it does, but you have to go do a lot of stuff to get to it. It's just not worth it. The Wii U had folders. Like they just added folders, and it's still like a shitty version of folders. You know, I mean, like, listen. The Switch is a commercial success for Nintendo, but it's not a great. To me, I don't really think it's a great console. It's a great handheld. Like if you look at the Switch as the successor to the 3DS, it's amazing. If you look at it as the successor to the Wii U, it sucks. It's like really it sucks as a successor to a console. To a handheld, it's the best handheld Nintendo's ever come up with.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. I have to agree with that. Um,
As a
I
handheld, it's the best Game Boy ever. But as a home console, it's disappointing.
yeah, yeah. But EA is looking to be acquired. Apparently, they've gone to various different places. I think Disney was one of them. Like Microsoft was one of them, and some other groups of interest, some other like investor groups or whatever. Yeah, so EA is looking to be acquired. One theory I heard is because of all the money Microsoft just doled out to Activision Blizzard to to acquire them. So EA wants that money, but they have a few stipulations that the head of EA still has control over the company, but I don't
That
know
ain't
how that.
happening.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know how you expect.
I
So,
mean, considering that under this guy's watch, BioWare has been turned into shit. Under his watch, Maxis has been turned into shit. Under his watch, Dice has been turned into shit. Under his watch, they've lost the FIFA license. Um, like Andrew Wilson has not been doing a good job. Like a CEO only has of a company only has two jobs: to return money to the shareholders and to make sure the health of the overall health of the company so that it can continue to make money into the future. Andrew Wilson may be good at the first thing, returning money to the shareholders, but when it comes to the future health of the company, fucking terrible. Fucking terrible at that job.
eh,
Um
yeah, it's like, why not just take your golden parachute and run? I mean, that's what I would do. But
yeah,
they
yeah.
still have to have, they still need to have power for whatever reason. But yeah, it's like, how do you expect to be acquired by, a whether that be one of the console manufacturers or investor group or some sort of media group, like I said earlier, like Disney, and you saying, yeah, but we'd still like our CEO to have creative control over the company. It's like,
And
okay,
not a good CEO, like a
yeah,
CEO who under his watch, like multiple studios have, like really, there's only two I EA only has two IPs that are making them money right now. Um, um, Apex Legend, which is making them billions of dollars, and FIFA, and they just lost the FIFA license.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how the fuck Andrew Wilson could screw his mouth up to go to someone and say, "Hey, we're looking to be acquired, and we want a huge amount of money, and I want to be in charge of the company while when that happens." Like if I was the company he was going up to, I would have laughed his ass out of my office. Like literally, like you get the fuck out of my office. Seriously, get the fuck out.
like
Get your shit and get out of here.
it's just like, we have to, it's like, yeah, I want you to buy, you know it's like me selling somebody a computer. It's like, I'll sell you this computer, but you have to do everything. You have to put, you can only do certain things on it, um, with my express permissions. Like that, it's not gonna work. You're not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to sell a computer if I do something like that. It's
No,
just,
you know what that's like? That's like you selling a car to someone that you got into multiple wrecks with, but then you restored the body so it doesn't look like it replaced a lot of stuff. But it's still, you restored the body, but it still has been in multiple wrecks. So there's internal damage. And then you tell someone, okay, I want to sell you this car, but you still have to let me use it, even though I got into multiple wrecks with it. And when you drive it, you can like you have to follow my directions when you drive it. Like you can only go over a certain amount of miles. You can only take it in certain areas. It's like, who the fuck are you to tell us what we can do with something that we bought?
yeah,
Especially when you got in three wrecks in it.
yeah, yeah.
Like, how could you screw your mouth up to come in my office and say some shit like that? I ought to slap you in the face right for saying that. I ought
You
to
should
Will
feel,
Smith slap you in the face.
yeah, you should feel deep, deep shame.
Yeah. You know, it's like when you were in school and you would say something really stupid and people would just look at you and be like, you know what? I need to take that L. I'm sorry. That's on me. I shouldn't have said something that fucking stupid. I'm sorry.
Well, I think at some point, EA will just probably have to cave and be like, well, we're more interested in the money. Whatever you want to do, whatever, you know. But
I mean, they're like Ubisoft. Ubisoft wants to be acquired too, but I'm like, who would fucking buy you?
yeah, Ubisoft is a disease at this point. I mean, But again, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, so
Yeah, but they ain't buying Ubisoft. Like Ubisoft, like okay, Activision Blizzard is a fucking headache, and the fact that Microsoft is buying them, I'm like, look, that's your fucking headache. You guys deal with it. But then you have then you have Ubisoft, which is even more of a headache than Activision.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how you guys are going to get out of this. Is what I'm saying. I don't. There is no way that I can think that Activision Blizzard is going to be able to turn this shit around. Is what I'm saying. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Activision Blizzard is almost a $70 billion headache. That is one expensive headache.
Yeah.
And I don't.
And look, the first U.S. union for the first U.S. union for gamers, for the QA testers from Ravensoft just happened at Activision Blizzard. And believe me, in a capitalist country like America, we don't like workers actually being organized and being able to say, look, we're not going to take this bullshit. So, under at Activision, do you know how bad that shit is?
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy.
you know, so I'm not, I can't say I'm surprised. I'm not like, oh, I can't believe that. I'm like, yeah, I can totally believe it.
So, free topic. Any topic you'd like to bring up?
We touched on it. It's EA getting bought out or trying to sell themselves. I'm like, who would buy it? Disney is over. Like Bob Chapek, the current CEO, he's hoping that he can get the votes to stay on as CEO this year. He ain't buying EA. Okay, right? Microsoft just blew their wad on Activision Blizzard. NBC Universal is not gonna buy. They're not gonna buy a video game company. I'm sorry, that shit's not gonna happen.
Video game companies, I'm sure. I mean, especially like EA or Ubisoft, even though they've been dumpster fires in one way or another throughout the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, probably longer, depending on how deep you are into EA and Ubisoft games.
Yeah,
But but yeah, video game companies are probably very expensive for some of these other companies. I don't think they want to spend money like that. I don't think they want to
no,
spend Microsoft money for acquiring these all these intellectual properties. Because again, running a video game company is a lot different than running, say, a media company, like running a movie studio or running a TV studio. Yeah, it's a different animal, that's for sure.
yeah.
And we've seen what how Amazon thought, oh, and Google thought, oh, we can handle video games, and we've seen what that turned into.
Well, with Google, Google just didn't have the right infrastructure in place to support it. Amazon was arrogant. Amazon was like, look, we're going to do whatever the hell we want, and it's going to work because we're Amazon, baby. And it's like, no, no, I don't think you quite understand what's going on here. And they fell flat on their face, which was kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. Seeing Amazon fall on their face. Like, they've put out 4 games, and 3 of them were flops.
Yeah,
Or at least, like their biggest game is a game they didn't even make. Which just proves that instead of thinking internally, we can just put someone who is good at selling books or, driving sales of our books in charge of making video games. Put someone who fucking makes video games in charge of making video games.
yeah,
I mean, that's That's business 101. If you don't have someone who's an expert in a product that you want to sell, hire someone who is an expert to be in charge of what you want to sell. Give them the resources to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, like it's stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Well, my free topic is Computex happened, um, or maybe it's finishing up. I don't know how long Computex lasts, but AMD had unveiled their new CPUs for that are coming out this year. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
AM 7000, the 7000 series, Ryzen 7000. They're moving away from PGA to LGA. Uh, PGA pin grid array, LGA land grid array. I guess it allows for better power management on the CPU, and there's also the fact that they revealed that their CPU can now go up to 5.5 gigahertz. Only problem with that is it's not, or at least the speculation that it's not all core. Actually, I think they even confirmed that it's not all core, that it's just a single core that can go up to 5.5 gigahertz.
This is
So,
AMD.
yeah.
All right.
So,
Well,
also, one of the problems AMD is going to run into is that their new CPUs will not support DDR4 like Intel stuff because, well, yeah, a lot of the boards for Intel's 12th gen CPUs support, uh, most of them support DDR5. There are DDR4 options, whereas for AMD CPU, they'll have no DDR4 options. And
so it's only
DDR
DDR5.
yeah, and DDR5 is very expensive. I don't know if you've
It
seen those
is. It
seen those
is.
prices.
I looked because I was gonna upgrade my PC. I was gonna do 128 because I'm gonna make the PC I have now my gaming PC into my streaming PC, and I just want to have a lot of memory so I can have a lot of apps open at the same time because I'm gonna add a second screen. And like it's almost a grand for
Yeah,
128 gigs of DDR5. So
yeah,
I mean, if I have to do it, I'll do it because I'm just like I really want to have that level of fidelity.
yeah,
But um,
yeah. And there's obviously they're also gonna have PCIe Gen 5, which uh, the big reason for Gen 4 and Gen 5 isn't necessarily for graphics cards because they haven't been able to fully saturate the bandwidth that um, Gen 4 and certainly Gen 5 can put out. It's mainly for like your M.2 uh, SSDs. It's mainly for like SSDs and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm waiting for the 4 gig SSDs to come down in price, and when that happens, it's going to be great because I mean you'll be able to have like two 4 gig
the 4
sorry
terabyte.
4 terabyte M.2s and
Uh,
then like maybe like two normal SSDs, and you'll have all solid. Now, of course, you're gonna need a dynamite heatsink on those things, or a really good fan in your computer to get that heat because M.2s produce a lot of fucking heat. Um, but it'll be worth it,
yeah, yeah,
you know. Um, yeah, I mean. I know everyone's like AMD, AMD. I'm like, I think Intel. I think Intel's gonna pull. I think Intel's gonna pull one out. I think within the next 2 or 3 years, Intel's gonna show people why. You know, they're gonna come back.
yeah.
Um,
I have a feeling that they'll come back. I think they're
cause
they're
no, go
definitely
ahead.
they're definitely one to look out for. Uh, Especially since they're building a fab in what, Ohio? Is that where they're
Yeah, but not only that, Intel has multiple factories where they make their own chips, which AMD and Nvidia do not.
Yeah, they rely on TSMC.
Yeah,
And
Taiwan Semiconductors. So it's like, if the only way you can cook your food is to use someone else's kitchen, you're always going to be beholden to the logistics of their kitchen. If you
yeah,
have your own kitchen and your own refrigerator, you can cook anytime you want.
yeah, that's
So Intel and I mean, and I know Nvidia has been shipping, like they basically create the specifications and then give them the TSMC and then they make it. But Intel's been making chips a long fucking time. They're
yeah,
good at it.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
they're
why.
really fucking good at it. So, and I think that now that their CEO is, an engineer, a guy who's good at looking at problems and figuring out ways around it, I think it's only going to take maybe 2-3 years, and you're going to see Intel. They might not be the way they were like 30, 40 years ago, but I do think you're going to see an Intel that is dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
But
yeah. I can't. Yeah, that's in the distant future, not anytime soon. But
I mean, two
that's
years. That's not a short period of time.
no,
you know.
I'm just saying that's probably where I'll end up uh, being is on the Intel platform in the next I don't know, several years if I when I decide to upgrade again. Which again isn't
It
going to be
depends
for a
on the
while.
pricing. It
Yeah,
depends on the pricing, but if like here's the thing. If Intel can become competitive again, like truly competitive, everyone wins because the price of CPUs everywhere goes down.
yeah,
If they can make a competitive GPU, the price of GPUs goes down because there's competition. Everyone wins. So it doesn't matter what you upgrade to. The price will be good for everybody.
yeah,
That's why competition is good.
yeah,
Um, like you can't charge, like how Nvidia for years, yeah, we're gonna charge people $1,800 for this new graphics card. Fuck you. No, because there's competition.
yeah,
You know. So yeah, that's gonna be good. It's just gonna take maybe 2 years, and then everything's gonna work itself out, and I can't wait because I'll probably by this point will probably upgrade my gaming CPU now, and that when I upgrade it, I'll probably put a new CPU in there. I might just gut it and get a new motherboard and just keep the case because the case is nice. It's
yeah.
easy to get in and out of, or
Are
I
you
might
gonna
build another PC. I don't know.
are you gonna are you gonna take it apart and build it yourself, or are you gonna have somebody?
No, I mean, like if I put a new motherboard in there, I'll just do it myself. Like,
Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna put a new motherboard, it probably might just be easier for me just to build another PC.
Yeah,
Which if you're starting from the motherboard, it's just easier to build a new PC than to take the old one out and put the old one in. It's a really nice case, but I can get a new one because
yeah,
I want a case that's extra tall so I can put one of those really high quality liquid coolers in there so that it can be really cool.
yeah.
Because I'm gonna put like two M.2s in there. Once they get up to 4 TB, get two of those M.2s. Mm, that's what I want.
Oh, and MSI is making made a case and a motherboard design where it makes it a lot easier to hide the wires within your case.
Yeah, because the motherboard goes on top and all the wires go underneath, like in the
Yeah,
back
I was
part of the
like,
thing. Yeah,
man,
I
this
saw that. I
thing.
was like, that looks cool, but I don't have the expertise of putting together PCs to where I would trust that unless everything is really clearly marked, like where
Yeah,
you plug stuff in and where you plug stuff out. And unfortunately, like a lot of motherboards, even when they have stuff labeled, it's like you need a freaking magnifying glass to see it.
well,
So it's like
yeah,
I
I'm pretty familiar with motherboards. A lot of them are pretty standard when it comes to where things go and don't go. But at the same time, you you, you would have to relearn, kind of relearn, rememorize all of that. because
Yeah,
they're putting it on the back. So yeah,
yeah.
that's
Well, I
gonna
mean, not just that. It's like even if you're like for me, even if I'm familiar with it, I like to make sure. Okay, this is the right connection to go here. This is the right connection to go there. And some like they have it labeled now, which is good. It was always labeled, but like as a kid, you're not really paying attention to that. But now it's like, man, this is really small text. Let me get my magnifying glass out so I can see what exactly I'm plugging this into. Because like I remember the first time I built a PC, I had to like shit. I gotta unplug all the shit and find out what went wrong because it didn't turn on the first time.
yeah,
Found out and got it straight, but it's just like, ah, man, this is a pain.
yeah,
But yeah, to each his own. Yeah, I think that DDR4, let's see, DDR5 in electronics, DDR5 is like it's really expensive. Let me look up DDR5. Um, yeah, it's like a grand for DDR5. It's 100. It's 100 and it's $1,150 for. Oh, that's 256 gigabytes. Okay, all right. So it's half that for DDR5 for 128 gigabytes. Oh, well, shit. I thought that would be more expensive. Okay, but it's DDR4. Never mind. They aren't even selling DDR5 in that big of amount.
yeah. And there's also I know on the Intel side, there's problems when it comes to speeds and whatnot, like
Yeah,
DDR5 speeds. And one of the things I've learned, at least with this particular chip, because Jay's 2 cents did a video about it, about how how they might be volting these CPUs higher than they needed to be, because he undervolted the CPU and it still worked pretty good. Still, you could
depends
still
on
use
what
the
the
boost
CPU is doing.
features.
It
Yeah,
depends on what the CPU is doing. Like if your computer is doing low energy tasks, then of course you don't need a lot of power. Like your CPU is going to draw more power if it's doing something like if you're an animator and you're rendering something, yeah, your computer is going to use a lot more energy than if you're just like playing Minecraft or not
well,
Minecraft,
well, I'm saying
Minesweeper.
what I'm saying is that he was still able to use like the boost features on the
Yeah,
CPU, which does basically it's kind of like an auto overclock where
yeah.
it boosts your CPU, uh, given the right requirements or
Well,
whatever,
most
or the when your CPU is under the best possible condition, I should
yeah,
say.
but I mean, you have to remember those specifications are like the best recommendations they can give
Yeah,
because sometimes you'll have something that's below that, sometimes you'll have something above that. Like I have a new power system, I have a new PSU in my PC, but it's like a gold standard, like one of like it was like a $50 PSU, like one of the best they had at the time, and it's way more power than I need.
yeah,
But I got it because I was like, if I upgrade anything else in this PC, like I want to have that thing. But if I had something, like only if something is way underpowered where you have issues where your CPU, your computer's not gonna be working properly, which I've seen happen. People underpower their PC and they're like, I can't believe this didn't work properly. It's like I'm not surprised.
yeah, yeah. I did that too. I was experimenting with the undervolting for a computer I was building and messed something up, and it wouldn't post, so I had to reset the BIOS by taking out the battery. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, always good to look that stuff up before you start messing around with
Yeah,
stuff in the BIOS.
yeah. That's why they say you should really get
Should get what?
well, that's why they always say you should like if you're really into PCs, you should get like a test computer, a test bench.
Yeah.
Um, and what I might do with my current PC is, um, like at some point, just turn this into my test bench, which will be easy because then oh, it turns on. Okay, everything hooks up. Okay, it works. I might do that. But
Yeah.
for me, computer stuff is a mildly interesting hobby that saves me a little bit of money. It's not something that I do like.
On the regular.
Yeah, it's not something I do on the regular. For a lot of money or anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's I think that's good. Do you want to give your sign off? Pimp out whatever you want to pimp
Yeah,
out.
I'll pimp out something. I'll pimp out what I pimped out before. Yes, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. Thank you for coming to Kenoshi's Project Console episode 33. If you would like to hear more from myself or Kenoshi, because a lot of times he's on my cast, you can reach me at BS Busters on YouTube. Or on the Discord, which is in a link on our videos on YouTube. And we have the BS Busters cast every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace!
Peace. And this is Kenosha Bonamito here with another episode of Project Console. On the can, episode 33. We want what we paid for. Have a good week, have a good weekend, and have a good life. See you guys later.